Hello everyone and welcome to Old Coins TV channel. If you love exploring the world of coins, their history, value, and rare discoveries, you've come to the right place. Here, we'll share exciting information about coins from around the world, from ancient treasures to modern currency. So, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon to never miss our latest videos. The 2007 Wyoming Quarter dollar is one of the most visually striking, historically meaningful, and culturally symbolic coins ever released in the United States Mint's famous 50-state quarters program. Issued in 2007 to honor Wyoming, the 44th state admitted to the Union on July 10, 1890, this coin represents the very soul of the American frontier. Wyoming is famously known as the Equality State, and its quarter does more than simply depict geography. It immortalizes freedom, independence, ranching heritage, women's rights, cowboy culture, and the rugged untamed West in solid metal form. The reverse of the Wyoming Quarter features one of the most iconic silhouettes in American history, a bucking horse with a rider. This design is based on Wyoming's legendary state symbol known as Steamboat, a powerful bronco that became the inspiration for the official state logo. The wild horse represents Wyoming's untamed land, free spirit, open plains, and strong frontier identity. The rider symbolizes the courageous cowboys who shaped the American West, managed cattle drives, protected settlements, and helped establish modern Wyoming as a ranching powerhouse. The design is framed by the inscriptions, Wyoming, 1890, and the Equality State. These inscriptions are deeply symbolic. 1890 marks Wyoming's admission year into the Union, while the Equality State honors Wyoming's pioneering role in women's rights, being the first place in the world to grant women the right to vote in 1869, over 50 years before the 19th Amendment. The Wyoming Quarter was released into circulation on September 4, 2007, and was minted at 3 major U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, P, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. The Philadelphia and Denver coins were struck for general circulation, while San Francisco produced beautiful proof versions for collectors. The coin is composed of a copper core with outer layers of nickel, giving it durability and a bright silvery appearance. It has a diameter of 24.26 mm, weighs 5.67 grams, and features a reeded edge. On the obverse is the timeless portrait of George Washington, designed originally by John Flanagan, which was used on all state quarters. Wyoming's identity is powerfully tied to its natural wonders, including Yellowstone National Park, the world's first national park, and the majestic Grand Teton Mountains. Though not directly shown on the quarter, the bucking bronco reflects the spirit of those wild lands: vast prairies, thermal geysers, roaming bison herds, and endless open skies. The coin therefore stands as a symbol not just of the state, but of America's western expansion, conservation movement, and pioneer resilience. From a collector's standpoint, the 2007 Wyoming Quarter is highly sought after in pristine mint condition. While circulated examples are common, uncirculated and proof coins graded MS67 and higher can command much higher premiums due to their sharp details and mirror-like surfaces. Error coins, including off-center strikes, double dies, and die cracks, were especially valuable and are among the most collectible of the state quarters series. These error varieties can sell for significant amounts depending on condition and rarity. Culturally, this quarter is more than money. It is a portable monument to freedom, equality, and frontier bravery. Wyoming's proud tradition of independence, equal rights, ranching, rodeos, and conservation is beautifully compressed into a 25-cent coin that millions of Americans unknowingly carried in their pockets. Every line engraved on the bucking bronco tells a story of sweat, dust, and the courage of settlers who shaped the nation's western frontier. In the larger scope of American coinage, the Wyoming Quarter stands as one of the most symbolic designs of the 50-state quarters program, a coin that captures the heart of the American West, celebrates equality, honors women's rights, and preserves the rugged beauty of frontier life in shining metal. It is not merely a coin, it is a historical artifact, cultural emblem, and national treasure that forever represents Wyoming's legendary place in American history. Beyond its bold visual power, the Wyoming Quarter also holds a remarkable place in American social history because Wyoming itself reshaped democracy in ways that permanently changed the United States. Long before women were allowed to vote nationally, Wyoming Territory made a revolutionary decision in 1869 to grant women full voting rights, the right to hold public office, and equal pay for teachers. When Wyoming applied for statehood in 1890, Congress attempted to pressure leaders into revoking women's suffrage, but Wyoming famously responded that it would rather stay out of the Union than give up women's equality. That courageous stance became one of the proudest chapters in American civil rights history, and the phrase, "the equality state," engraved on the quarter immortalizes this legacy for eternity. The bucking bronco design was carefully chosen by the U.S. Mint because it communicates Wyoming's character more powerfully than any monument or landmark could. The bronco is shown in mid-leap, muscles tense, mane flying, capturing a single frozen moment of pure strength and freedom. This image reflects the state's long ranching tradition, its legendary rodeos like Cheyenne Frontier Days, and the rugged cowboy lifestyle that still thrives across Wyoming's plains. The rider represents generations of cattle hands who managed massive ranches that helped feed the nation, making Wyoming one of America's most important beef-producing states. From a technical standpoint, the Wyoming Quarter is a masterpiece of precision minting. Each coin required steel dies engraved under microscopic tolerances. The raised lines on the bronco's muscles, the cowboy's hat, and the mane of the horse were sculpted to survive decades of circulation while still preserving detail. The inscriptions were carefully positioned to balance aesthetics and durability, ensuring that the coin could withstand billions of exchanges without losing legibility. The proof versions struck at the San Francisco Mint are especially admired. These coins feature mirror-like fields and frosted raised designs, creating a dramatic contrast that makes the bucking bronco appear almost three-dimensional. Proof Wyoming quarters were sold in collector sets and remain highly collectible today, especially in perfect PR70 deep cameo condition, which can command premium prices. Wyoming's quarter also carries deep symbolism related to conservation. Wyoming is home to the largest population of free-roaming bison in the United States, along with elk, wolves, pronghorn antelope, and wild horses. The bronco symbolizes not only ranching but also the state's ongoing struggle to preserve wild lands while balancing modern development. The quarter therefore acts as a national reminder of America's duty to protect its remaining wilderness. The release of the Wyoming Quarter in 2007 sparked a surge in interest among new collectors, students, and historians. Schools used the coin as a teaching tool for frontier history, women's suffrage, and conservation. Education. For many children and families, the Wyoming Quarter was their first introduction to American numismatics, inspiring collections that grew into lifelong hobbies. In economic terms, Wyoming quarters circulated heavily across the United States, helping spread Wyoming's identity nationwide. It became one of the most widely recognized state symbols, rivaling the cowboy hat and Yellowstone geysers. Even today, finding a Wyoming quarter in change instantly reminds Americans of freedom, equality, and frontier strength. The coin is ultimately a metal ambassador of Wyoming, carrying stories of independence, courage, equality, conservation, and Western heritage in the palm of your hand. Its design speaks across generations, reminding every holder that Wyoming did not merely join the Union, it reshaped it. In the wider narrative of American coinage, the Wyoming quarter occupies a unique and emotionally powerful position because it unites symbolism, history, and national identity into a single, universally recognized design. Unlike many state quarters that focus on monuments, buildings, or geographic outlines, Wyoming's quarter boldly chose a living symbol, the bucking bronco, to represent the state's spirit rather than its borders. This choice transformed the coin into a dynamic emblem of motion, strength, and independence. The frozen leap of the horse mirrors the forward momentum of Wyoming's pioneers who crossed mountain passes, braved harsh winters, and built communities in some of the most challenging terrain in North America. The quarter quietly honors homesteaders who broke soil, railroad workers who carved tracks through rock, Native American tribes who originally inhabited the plains, and ranchers who established massive cattle operations that would help fuel the nation's food supply. It also stands as a subtle monument to Wyoming's political courage, especially its fearless stand for women's rights, which placed it ahead of the world in democratic equality. Every Wyoming quarter therefore functions not merely as currency but as a miniature historical document, reminding Americans that true progress is born from bravery, fairness, and resilience. It is a coin that teaches history without textbooks, celebrating a state that proved that equality and independence are not just ideals, but living traditions etched permanently into the metal of the United States of America. Another remarkable aspect of the Wyoming quarter lies in how it quietly preserves the memory of the American frontier at a time when much of that frontier has disappeared. During the late 1800s, Wyoming was a land of open ranges, massive cattle drives, and isolated homesteads separated by miles of wind-swept prairie. Life demanded strength, cooperation, and innovation, and the bucking bronco engraved on the coin captures that demanding environment in a single powerful image. The rider leaning forward in balance symbolizes discipline, courage, and mastery over nature, while the horse itself represents the untamed land that both challenged and shaped early settlers. For modern Americans living in cities, the Wyoming quarter serves as a rare everyday reminder of how deeply the nation's identity is rooted in ranching, railroads, frontier law, and the pioneering spirit. It reminds us that the prosperity enjoyed today was built on generations who lived without modern conveniences, faced unpredictable weather, and relied on community and determination to survive. Each time the Wyoming quarter passes through someone's hands, it carries forward those silent stories of grit, hope, and unbreakable frontier determination that helped form the United States. The Wyoming quarter also stands as a powerful educational bridge between generations, connecting modern America with the bold social experiments that helped define the nation's democratic values. When Wyoming adopted full women's suffrage decades before it became federal law, the territory sent a message to the world that equality was not an abstract ideal but a living principle that could be practiced in everyday government. Women in Wyoming served as jurors, teachers, and elected officials while much of the world still denied them even basic political voice. The inclusion of the equality state on the quarter therefore elevates the coin from a simple state emblem into a permanent reminder of civil rights progress. Every time the coin is studied in classrooms, passed between hands, or stored in a collection, it silently communicates that equality is part of America's heritage, not a modern invention, but a deeply rooted tradition. The artistic composition of the coin further enhances its educational and emotional power. The placement of the bronco at the center creates a sense of forward movement, while the slightly arched inscription, Wyoming, above it mirrors the curve of the horizon, subtly evoking the state's vast open skies. The balanced spacing of 1890 and the equality state anchors the design, symbolizing stability and enduring principles. Even the reeded edge plays a functional and symbolic role, echoing the ridged edges of historic silver coins that once circulated in frontier towns and mining camps across the American West. Economically, the Wyoming quarter also represents the changing face of American currency. It belongs to a generation of coins struck during a period when digital payments were already growing, yet physical money still dominated daily life. As such, millions of Wyoming quarters traveled across gas stations, grocery stores, ranch supply shops, and rural trading posts, making the state's identity visible far beyond its borders. In many ways, this quarter became a small traveling ambassador of Wyoming, introducing people nationwide to its proud traditions of ranching, conservation, and equality. Among collectors, the Wyoming Quarter has earned a respected reputation for its clean lines, bold relief, and iconic imagery. Its popularity remains strong because it appeals equally to Western history enthusiasts, civil rights historians, rodeo fans, and numismatists. Even 2 decades after its release, the coin continues to circulate, proving the durability of its design and the timeless appeal of its message. Ultimately, the 2007 Wyoming Quarter is far more than a piece of metal, it is a living storyteller. It narrates the courage of pioneers, the dignity of equality, the power of open land, and the unbreakable spirit of the American West, all within a coin small enough to rest on a fingertip yet vast enough in meaning to represent an entire chapter of United States history. The Wyoming Quarter also preserves the powerful connection between Wyoming and the Native American tribes who lived on its lands long before statehood. Tribes such as the Shoshone, Arapaho, Crow, and Lakota Sioux shaped the cultural and spiritual foundation of the region, hunting bison across wide plains and maintaining deep respect for the land and wildlife. Although the quarter does not depict specific tribal imagery, the bucking bronco can also be seen as a respectful echo of the long tradition of horsemanship practiced by native peoples of the Great Plains. Their mastery of horses transformed hunting, travel, and communication across the West and became one of the foundations of cowboy culture itself. In this way, the Wyoming Quarter quietly honors both indigenous heritage and frontier settlement history, acknowledging that Wyoming's story is shared between ancient traditions and modern development. Wyoming's Quarter also reflects the state's proud relationship with natural conservation and public lands. Wyoming contains more federally protected land than most U.S. states, including Yellowstone National Park, the first national park in the world, as well as Grand Teton National Park, vast wilderness areas, and national forests. These preserved lands symbolize America's commitment to protecting its natural beauty for future generations. The Bronco's Wild Leap embodies the free-roaming spirit of these protected lands, reminding Americans that freedom and conservation go hand in hand. Thus, the Wyoming Quarter functions not only as currency but as a permanent reminder of environmental responsibility. In essence, every Wyoming Quarter that circulates today carries within it layers of American identity, native heritage, frontier courage, civil rights leadership, environmental stewardship, and cowboy tradition. It stands as a small yet powerful monument to Wyoming's role in shaping both the land and the laws of the United States, continuing to tell its story long after it left the mint.